the end of the day, you could have all the skill sets, but if your philosophy is not right, if you don't have the right mindset, if your identity isn't to the level that it needs to be, all that external action is not going to get you the results that you're looking for.
Came up from the bottom to the top. And the young is gonna never stop. And he always punching in the clock.
So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys to a friend, a brother, a fellow mentor, Steven Cohen.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone. Feel free, if you have a comment, please unmute. But I think we're good to go. Internet all taken care of. So guys, thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate it. My name is Steven Cohen. I'm out here in Las Vegas, 702, 28 years old. For any of you guys out here, would love to connect. And I've been into the entrepreneur space for about 8 years. I started when I was 20 years old. I actually met Brandon not too longer after that. And like a lot of you guys that probably got into entrepreneurship before I got involved in the industry, I always had a lot of ambition. I always knew I wanted big things out of life. I just never had a vehicle to attach it to. At the end of the day, you can be the smartest person in the world. You can have the most ambition. You can be the most talented, the best while speaking. If you don't have an industry, a niche, a space to attach that ambition to, you know, it's almost like a race car without a driver. You're not going to get very. You guys, I got into networking about 8 years ago now, which is pretty crazy to say. And for 3 years, I literally made no money. I was working it as a full-time business, learning everything that I needed to, reading all the books, taking all the calls, hosting all the meetings. And for 3 years, I literally made no money. The beautiful thing, though, about what we do, guys, in this industry is sometimes it's not just about what you're obtaining monetarily. Right? A lot of us are in the sales industry, in this sales space to make money. That's why we're here, to live life at a higher level, to provide for our family, and to create an extraordinary lifestyle for us and the people we care about. But what a lot of people don't realize in the sales space, it's not necessarily what you're doing now, it's you're obtaining and becoming. For me, those 3 years I didn't make money, yes, but I was learning communications. I was learning how to handle objections. I was learning public speaking, involved in personal development. And unbeknownst to me at the time, I was grooming myself. I was grooming my personality, my identity. I was becoming the right person in order to go into a new industry, into sales, and absolutely crush it. So about 6 years ago, I was exposed to solar, which is the career I'm in, the business I own, door to door. So similar to you guys, I know you guys do some cold calling. I was door knocking, still do it to this day. And it completely changed my life. For those of you guys on this call, congratulations, you're in the right space. Sales is the highest paid profession on the planet. So guys, over the last 8 years, one of the biggest concepts that's really made the biggest impact on my life and the people that I've been able to work with is this concept of identity. What is identity? I'm sure a lot of you guys that have been into personal development, you read sales books, you study people on YouTube and Audible and other things, you've probably heard this concept before. But I'm hoping to share it in a different perspective that maybe you haven't heard it before to help impact your business. Because at the end of the day, you guys have some of the best sales trainers in the country. You have Mike, you have B. Scott Jones. These people could teach you how to cold call, handle objections, sales training, the pitch, how to ask for business. But at the end of the day, you could have all the skill sets, but if your philosophy is not right, if you don't have the right mindset, if your identity isn't to the level that it needs to be, all that external action is not going to get you the results that you're looking for. So my goal over these next 25 minutes is to help change your internal identity to help get you high-level results and help take your business to the next level. So let's hop into it. So identity to me, guys, as Ed Milet, you guys are familiar with him, would describe it. It's the thoughts, concepts, and beliefs that you believe about yourself. It's think about your self-image for a second. So when I think of identity, I think of a thermostat on the wall, right? We've all had a thermostat, you know, whether it's Nest, whatever, old school thermostat. What is the job of a thermostat? The thermostat's job is to essentially mitigate the temperature in the room, right? I live in Las Vegas. It's usually pretty freaking hot out here. You know, we hit 120 last July. So if I'm chilling in my house and it's 120 degrees outside and I have the air condition set to 70, that air conditioner's job is to essentially mitigate the temperature in the room to cool the internal temperature of the room back to 70 degrees. It doesn't matter how many doors I have open or if I keep the windows open, that Las Vegas heat coming in will eventually cool itself down to the temperature in the room, which is 70 degrees. The opposite is true. If you're living in somewhere cold, right, Minnesota, for example, and it's -8 degrees out there and you have the heat to 80 degrees, it doesn't matter how much cold air comes into the room, that thermostat's going to pop on and mitigate the temperature and heat the room up into 80 degrees. So the concept I want you guys to relate to is, I believe, according to a lot of other people, that your identity, think of your identity as almost like this invisible thermostat in our life. And this invisible thermostat basically will dictate and mitigate the temperature and the results of our life. We have different thermostats in different areas of our life. You have a thermostat in business, you have a thermostat in your finances, you have a thermostat in your relationships, in your physical appearance. We all have different thermostats in different areas in our life. And these thermostats, unbeknownst to us, will dictate how good we are in those specific areas in our life. What I mean by that is, your external circumstances do not dictate your ultimate destination. It's your internal circumstances. I'll give you guys an example. If you're a 70-degreer in business and you start heating up, you start crushing the sales, you start, getting on a roll, right? Things start getting really good in your life, and you start heating your life up to 80, 90 degrees. If you don't change your identity, if you don't change the beliefs and concepts of values that you believe about yourself, then unbeknownst to you, unconsciously, right? We know about our unconscious mind and how powerful it is. Unconsciously, your life is going to cool back down to whatever your set point is at 70 degrees. So it doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how many phone calls you make. It doesn't matter what you do externally, because it's not about your external conditions. It's about your internal belief system. That's why you see so many people that win the lottery, that maybe make it big. I have friends, Brandon have friends that have made money for a year, 2 years, 3 years, but then they lose that money and they're never able to get back to where they were, because they're essentially cooling themselves back down to their belief system of what they're worth about their income. So guys, the goal is not to necessarily just change your external results. It's to change your internal thermostat. And as you raise from a 70-degree in business to 80 degrees to 90 degrees, that's when your results stay. So again, external circumstances do not dictate your ultimate destination. It's about changing that inner thermostat. It's about raising your inner temperature, your inner belief system about these different areas of your life in order to get the results that you're looking for. Because ultimately, just like people that win the lottery, they heat up in their life. They go from a 40-degree in finances to 120 degrees. And within, as we know, the statistics say, within 2 to 3 years, they're broke again. It's because their income exceeded their belief system. Their income exceeded their identity. And the thing about your income, it will never exceed your identity for a long period of time. So if you're trying to level up your income, ultimately, you need to level up your identity in that specific field. If your results exceed your internal thermostat, you will find a way to cool yourself back down. Just like the thermostat in a room, if you let all the good things in life, if you have a ton of momentum, things are going great, you hop off this call, you're freaking motivated, you go crush it, you go hit 4 sales today, things are going good, and you start getting momentum, but you don't change that thermostat, you don't change your belief system, you don't do the inner work, eventually that belief system will weigh you back down. And just like a room heating up, that thermostat's going to kick on. If you're at 90 degrees, it's going to kick on at 60 degrees and it's going to cool your life back down. So if you want to get to the next level and you want to be sustainable, right? Like myself, Mike, Brandon, a lot of people on this call, when your incomes increase every single year, it's because they're doing the inner work. It's because they have a solid foundation of success and they're not just flaunting on Instagram. They're not just doing the short-term game. They understand that they need to change their identity and who they are as an individual in order to get those results. So guys, think of this thermostat as the regulator of your life. So we all know what a governor is in a car, right? A governor, if you have a Lamborghini Huracan, right? I think it tops out at like 180. And you have a governor on there, right? Say the manufacturer has a governor on there of 80, they forgot to take it off. It doesn't matter how nice your car is. It doesn't matter how good of a driver you are. It doesn't matter how much you're hitting the gas when you're driving it. That car will cap at 80 miles per hour because of that governor, preventing it from hitting its potential. The same is true in our life, guys. This identity, this invisible thermostat is the governor on our life. It's the difference between people coming into business and creating 6-7-figure income and the people that barely get by. It's because their unconscious beliefs are self-sabotaging themselves in order from achieving what they want. And guys, the crazy thing is, if you get a lot of momentum and things are going good and you see people winning, and you don't change that inner thermostat, if you don't change that identity, it's going to look like coincidence. It's going to look like your mom asking you for money. It's going to look like you missing a sales call. It's going to be a bad string of prospects, right? Things are going to pop into your life that look like coincidence, but in reality, it's just your unconscious mind sabotaging you because you're cooling yourself back down to what you believe you're worth. Ultimately, guys, we will never out-earn our belief system. So the key is to level up our belief system and identity so our results are able to keep. And then ultimately, you change your thoughts, your beliefs, your concepts, and your values, right? Your self-image. It's what you believe about yourself. Not what anyone else believes about you, but what you truly believe about yourself, right? The coolest thing about making 7 figures, 6 figures, 8 figures, whatever your goals and dreams are, it's not about the actual money. It's about who you will become in the process of making the money, right? Jim Rohn talks about everyone should be a millionaire. Everyone should understand what it feels like to make a 7-figure income, because the person that you'll have to become in the process of becoming a millionaire. Again, guys, in sales, in this industry, in this niche that we're in, it's not necessarily about monetary. It's not just about making income. That's a very short term, a very finite perspective. It's about that infinite perspective. It's about who you're becoming in the process, because once you leave this industry, whether you go start your own business, go create a philanthropy, go travel the world, whatever you do, you're going to become a better individual. So you're going to be able to achieve better level results. It's about raising that thermostat, because wherever you go in life, you take yourself with you, and you're going to want to be the best version going into those specific niches. So we talked about the identity. We talked about the thermostat. By just understanding that, by just putting awareness on the fact that, hey, I have this like invisible thermostat identity thing where I need to raise that in order to raise my external results. By just being aware of that, you're already ahead of 95% of people, because most people don't realize that. Most people think that everything is external and things are happening to them, and they're victims of their circumstances instead of creators of circumstances. So next step, you guys are probably like, dope, this sounds cool, I get it, but like, how do I increase my thermostat? How do I change that? We'll talk about that. Okay, first step, right? If you're taking notes, you can take this. Number 1, first step to changing your identity, changing your thermostat. This one is maybe a little common. So law of association. We've probably all heard this before, right? If you're into personal development, you've probably heard this before. We are the 5 people you hang around with the most. If you hang around 4 broke people, as a byproduct, you'll be the 5th broke person. If you hang out around 5 people that are lazy and smoke weed all day, right, you'll be the 5th person that's lazy and smoke weed all day, right? We understand this. Well, let's take this a step deeper, right? Why is this so important? The easiest, simplest way in order to raise your thermostat, right, raise your belief system, raise that inner identity, is by associating, right, being in proximity with people that are playing the game of life at a higher level that you are. For example, if I want to get ripped and I want a 6-pack, right, I want to put some mass on, I want to get cut, the easiest way for me to do that is to go hang around people who go to the gym consistently, who are cut and are, on really good nutrition plans. Because by being around them, by literally osmosis, their energy, right, their temperature, they'll rub off on me. So if you guys are sitting here right now on this call and you're playing the game of life, or if your business is at a 70 degree right now, your finance is at a 70 degree, and you're like, hey, I want to make this 6-figure income. I want to crush $250,000 this year. The easiest way to help you get there quicker, to raise that belief system, is to associate with people that are a 90 or 100 degreer. If I'm a 70 degreer in business and Brandon's a 100 degreer, by me associating with Brandon, by me picking his brain, by me asking him questions, by me being around him, I'm not going to become a 100 degreer, but I'll become an 80 degreer. I'll become an 85 degreer. You're not going to get to where their temperature is, but you'll get somewhere in the middle. And by doing that, you're able to plateau up. And it's not just about hanging out around them. It's not just, hanging out with Brandon and, shooting the shit and chilling. It's about consciously and intentionally spending time with people. One of the biggest challenges with salespeople is they're just not present. They do more talking than listening, right? God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use that proportionally. So you want to be present, right? The best salespeople, they're more interested than interesting, right? They're more curious about other people than curious about speaking about their accolades and themselves. So when you're hanging around these higher temperature people in whatever space that you're trying to improve in, you want to be conscious and intentional about the information that they're speaking, because you can hear good information, but not heed it and not understand it, right? There's a difference between knowledge and applied knowledge. So being mindful about the information that's coming in. That's why stuff like this is so valuable. That's why this mastermind and this group that you guys are a part of is so valuable, because you're in business independently for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. You have other like-minded individuals that are around you that you can help create that mastermind. And that's why it's so important to find a mentor, right? Smart people learn from their own mistakes, but brilliant people learn from other people's mistakes. One of the best ways that I was able to make my income double, triple, and quadruple over the last 4 years is by finding a mentor and spending time with them about asking questions. Because if you're making, if your goal is to make $10,000 a year, $10,000 a month, right? $100K a year, and you're associating with people making $10,000 a week, unconsciously, you're going to start raising your belief level to realize that, hey, $10,000 a month is really that obtainable. It's really not that hard. This dude's making that every single week. And you start reconditioning your mind to actually believe that you can do it. And then you start taking actions that are congruent of it. So find yourself a mentor if you don't have one, right? Join a mastermind, associate with people. Guys, we're in the 21st century, which is pretty crazy. We have information through the yin yang, right? But yet most people aren't utilizing it. Most people aren't YouTube and looking at different sales techniques and how to become more successful. Most people aren't taking advantages of the resources we have. So again, step one, law of association. Okay, next one. So first one, right? You want to be in proximity of people that have the results you want, right? Living that life at a higher temperature than you are. The second thing that you want to do to raise your identity, number two, is you want to shock your system. So I'm not sure if anyone on this call, I'm sure you guys probably have tried an ice bath before, right? An ice bath, cold shower, cryotherapy, whatever you want to do. What the idea behind an ice bath is, you want to shock your nervous system, right? You're taking yourself from a normal temperature to extreme cold conditions. And what happens there with your body is your body goes into a fight or flight mode. It almost goes into shock, and it starts operating at a different level because of the extreme change in temperature. So the same is true with your guys' identity. If you're trying to go from a 70 degree to 100 degree in business, first thing, go hang around 85, 90, 100 degree business people. The second thing you want to do is you want to shock your system. At the end of the day, guys, your brain goes to work to prove your beliefs true. Whatever your belief system is, your actions will be congruent to that. Again, like we spoke about, you will never outwork your belief system. If you believe that all you're meant for out of this is to work a 9-to-5 job and barely get by and live in a basic house and a basic lifestyle with a basic car, if that's your belief system, because that's what you've been conditioned your whole life, guess what? Your actions will not exceed that. When you go and try and perform at a high level, unconsciously, you're going to stop yourself, because that thermostat's going to kick on and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're heating up too much. No. Let's cool yourself back down to what you're comfortable with. So you want to do stuff to shock your system. What do I mean by that? You need to do something within a 30 to 60 day period, massive amount of action in short amount of time. If you're used to making 3 to 5 phone calls a day, or 3 to 5 presentations a day, for the next 30 days, you need to make 15 to 20, right? If you're used to going to the gym 4 times a week, for the next 30 days, you need to go to the gym 7 times a week, right? You need to take a massive amount of action in a short amount of time, because what that's doing is you're basically tricking your mind. You're tricking your unconscious mind to basically say like, hey, I'm doing the things that a high performer does. I'm shifting my identity because I'm taking all this massive action. And just like the ice bath, you're shocking your body, and you'll actually start to believe that you're the type of performer that is worth the results that you're going after. You'll only make an effort congruent to what you believe you're worth. So you have to do something. You have to take massive amount of action in a short amount of time. You don't have to do that forever, but by doing that in a short amount of time, you're going to start conditioning your mind, start raising that identity from 71 to 72 to 73, etc. And it'll stay there, because you're basically tricking yourself that you're actually worth the results that you're looking at. So again, whatever you're trying to accomplish, whether it's your fitness thermostat, your financial thermostat, your business thermostat, whatever you're doing right now, as Grant Cardone says, 10x it. You don't have to do it forever, but by you doing that for a short amount of time, you'll start building that habit. And more importantly, you'll start building that belief. I'll give you guys an example. We've all heard before that by professional athletes, right? Kobe, rest in peace, right? LeBron, right? That you want to be the first one in the gym and the last one to leave. You want to be the first one in and the last one out. Why is that important? 2 reasons, right? The obvious reason, if you're there an hour before everyone else and you leave an hour, right? If you come to the office an hour before everyone else and you leave an hour after everyone else, you're getting 2 more hours throughout the day of productivity, right? You're shooting free throws, you're doing calls, whatever you're doing. That's the obvious answer. But the more important answer, guys, why that's so important, because if you're the first one there and the last one to leave, what you're basically doing is unconsciously, you're telling yourself that you deserve success more than the person to your left and to your right because you're putting more action in. That's what this is about, guys. It's about changing our internal dialogue, our internal self-image, our internal belief system, because as you shift inward, your outward conditions will shift. It's not about the action externally. Obviously, you need action, but if you don't have the right philosophy, if you don't have the right focus, that action isn't going to get the results that you want. If hard work alone could create success, firefighters, school teachers, construction workers would be the wealthiest people on the planet. Obviously, that's not true. So there's more to this than working hard. You need the right belief system. You need the right identity. And by doing these things, by shocking your system, by taking a massive amount of action in a short amount of time to help, again, raise that thermostat, it's going to help you start to believe you're actually worth the goals and dreams you're trying to acquire. Third thing. So we talked about shifting your association, right? Being in proximity of people. We talked about shocking your system. Massive amount of action in a short amount of time. The final thing that I believe that will help raise your identity is you have to stop what is no longer needed. A lot of us growing up have been conditioned for lack. A lot of us growing up has been conditioned for scarcity, right? We've all heard these quotes before. Money doesn't grow on trees, like we've all heard these certain things, right? We can't afford that. And unconsciously, as we're growing up and our parents or whoever raised us, we start to believe these opinions and these philosophies as truth. So as we come into an adult age, we have this backwards philosophy. We almost have like these viruses that were programmed into our computer system, our mind at an early age. So we have to realize that if we're not getting the results we want in life, if we're not living life at the highest level, chances are we're operating out of other people's belief system that were programmed to us at an early age. So first off, you have to stop what is no longer needed. You need to tell a new story. You can't create a new identity with a new story. You can't create, hey, I'm Steven, I'm coming into this new opportunity. I'm worth 6 figures. I'm worth having a dream car. I'm worth, being able to live 6 Saturdays and 1 Sunday and living life on my own terms. You can't create that new identity if you still believe that you're not going to amount to anything because you were raised on this side of the street and your parents never made anything and they never went to college. You have to start reprogramming your mind. Just like a garden, if there's weeds in a garden, you have to rip those weeds out. But if you don't replace those weeds with new plants, with new seeds, and water them consistently and give them enough sunshine, eventually those weeds will take over the garden and come back. So you have to start reconditioning your mind. How do you do that? Right? You start listening to better information. You start joining masterminds. You start associating with people, because as you start reconditioning your mind and putting awareness on the limiting beliefs that you currently have, you're able to reprogram them. And the thing, guys, is no one cares about your old story, right? No one cares how you were abused when you were little, and that's why you can't trust people, and that's why you can't create the successful business. No one cares that your parents never gave you anything and, your neighbor had everything, and that's why, because yada, yada, yada. No one cares about that. So you have to let go of that old story, because you can't create a new identity with still replaying the same record story. And then finally, guys, last thing I'll touch on this is you need to make a choice. In order to create a new identity and start raising those thermostats in your life and start creating that abundance that everyone deserves, you have to make a conscious decision. All living beings on this planet, human beings are the only living species that has the opportunity of choice. A frog will always be a frog. A tree will always be a tree. A bird will always fly the way that it's supposed to. They are habitually programmed to do the same thing. Human beings, we're the only creature on this planet that could say, hey, I lived the first half of my life this way, and I consciously choose to stop doing that and live the second half of my life this way. Guys, for me, before I got into entrepreneurship, low self-esteem, low confidence, destined for average, parents never made more than 40 grand combined together. So I had to make a decision. I was either going to buy into that belief system and continue to be a product of my environment, or I was going to say, no, there's other people out there crushing it. There's other people out there crushing their dreams. Why can't I? At the end of the day, if it's up to me, it's meant to be. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. So you have to make a conscious choice, put your flag in the ground and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to accomplish, and this is what I'm going to be. And as Will Smith says, once you make a conscious decision, that's the hardest part. The rest is done. Have that burn the boats mentality and go there and make it happen. So guys, in closing, right? We all have these invisible thermostats in our life. They are the invisible governor. Those things are the things that have the most control over the results we have in our life, our businesses, our relationships, our finances. We need to make sure that we're being mindful of that and raising those accordingly and congruent to our goals. 3 things that can help you: shift your association, shock your system with massive bursts of action in a short amount of time, and then finally start reprogramming your mind, start telling yourself a new story. So guys, I appreciate it so much. Sorry for the early technical issues. I hope you guys got some value. I'm going to kick it back to B for some Q&A if we have time. Thank you.
What brought you, Steven, from 100K to 250K? What do you think was like some things that helped you get from that to that?
It's a good question, brother. What was your name?
Kenny.
Kenny. Nice to meet you, Kenny. Great question. So I thought, first getting into entrepreneurship, that when I made $100,000 in a year, that my life would be set, right? I thought I could travel the world, retire my parents, because that was a big goal of mine. At 23, most money I ever made was like $2,000 a month. So it was like $10,000 a month. That's like that pivotal point. And then when I hit that, I quickly realized that $100,000 a year is really not that much money. In California, when I was living at the time, it's basically over the poverty level. So for me, I think the biggest thing, Malcolm X has a quote. He says that what you don't hate, you will tolerate. So for me, I think it was not getting comfortable and content with that 6-figure mark, because for a while that was a big goal and dream of mine. So when you accomplish a big goal and dream, unconsciously you start to take your foot off the gas a little because you feel like you've made it. So for me, I think I had to realize, like, hey, 6 figures is cool, 100K a year is cool, but honestly, I have bigger goals and visions than that. I need more than that. And when you start operating from that type of philosophy of, hey, this is a cool check mark, but where I want is way more, you start taking action that is congruent with that. So I think it's not allowing an income goal, because most people in life, right, most people even in my organization, once they hit a certain number, once they hit a certain check, they sell out. You know, they take the foot off the grass, they stop having that same hunger than what got them there in the first place. And then that's when they start to regress. So I think it's having really big goals, really big why. You know, I've been able to evolve my goal from just making income to, you know, doing other things in real estate to create passive income. So for me, having a bigger vision and goal and not being content once I made that 6-figure and saying, hey, this is cool, I'm grateful for it, but I'm not okay with this. This is not where I want to be. By doing that, you start raising that operating level, that identity, and you'll start taking action that'll help you achieve that $250,000. I hope that helped.
Love it. Thank you.
Fire. Okay, we're going to go to the next question, guys. We're going to rapid fire these. Steven's on fire right now, so we're going to take advantage of it. Brandon Flinders, pop off your question next.
Hey, what's up? First, thank you so much. Really appreciate your words and your teaching. But I just had a quick question. What do you do to get yourself out of a funk, get yourself out of a rut? Like, you know, because, you know, every once in a while you'll hit that flat line. What do you do?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. And for everyone that goes into ruts on this call, right, it's normal. It doesn't matter how much money you're making or how long you've been doing this, right? Everyone has, you know, ebbs and flows. We call it in my business the solar coaster. Some things that I would recommend, my friend, is if you're not already doing this, move your body. You know, Tony Robbins talks about this a lot. Motion creates emotion. It's really hard to be depressed and down. A lot of the time when we're feeling a negative emotion or we're feeling down on ourselves, chances are it's reflected in our physiology. Typically we're hunched over, maybe we're being lazy, we're on the couch. So getting up, shifting your physiology, whether it's taking a walk, doing yoga, I love yoga, going to the gym, just doing something to get your body moving, because that's going to kind of help refresh the endorphins in your mind. That's one thing. 2, shift to gratitude. I think gratitude trumps all. Sometimes it's challenging when you're kind of, you know, me in a rut, but at the end of the day, we all have things to be grateful for, especially living in America. So if you can help reach for that gratitude, you start feeling sorry for yourself, and you're like, I have two arms, 2 legs, right? I'm breathing. I live in America. I have food on my table. And it helps kind of reach a higher feeling thought. And then you're climbing yourself up that emotional ladder. So I would say second thing is gratitude. And then third thing, I actually heard this on a podcast today, but it's like, if you're feeling helpless, get helpful, right? Go do something to add value to someone else, right? Go, you know, just even if it's opening a door for someone, or like do something to be helpful. And as human beings, we love helping people. As weird as sometimes the news makes it feel, how everyone hates each other, like we're programmed to like help other people. So I think those 3 things will help.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
I'm taking notes on that.
Come on, let's go.
Beautiful.
My phone's filling up. All right, so next, Steve, we got one of our top closers here, Oscar. Go ahead, Oscar.
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking on what Kenny asked earlier, but like, what are some of the actions or habits that you've added or changed since cracking $1 million?
Yeah, so it's a good question, man. So really getting really aggressive with my morning and nightly routine. I always used to have a pretty decent morning routine. I was kind of, for a while, guys, I had a really big belief. I was like, oh, I don't have to wake up early because I work really hard not to wake up early, right? So but ultimately that's just an excuse. Winning your morning is so important, right? The 30 minutes before you go to bed and the 30 minutes you wake up, the 30 minutes before you go to bed and the 30 minutes right after you wake up are the most crucial parts in your day. Because what happens is our brain is in a theta wave. It's kind of that trancy stage that you are like when you're taking a hot shower. You're almost kind of like in a meditation stance. That's our brain wave, the first 30 minutes and last 30 minutes before we go to bed. The theta wave, we're the most impressionable during that time. So whatever occurs during those first 30 minutes and last 30 minutes, our brain is carrying that through the rest of the day. So we want to be extremely intentional and mindful that the information or the stimulus that we're allowing in that time period is by design and not by default. So first 30 minutes when you wake up, it's really, really hard. I give everyone props if you can do this on your phone, but don't touch your phone for the first 30 minutes of the day, right? The reason is because as soon as you turn over and touch your phone when you first wake up, whatever is on that phone is now impacting and influencing you for the rest of the day. And usually it's not good stuff, right? It's a customer canceling, it's emails, it's whatever. So being intentional, whether it's thinking of gratitude, just giving yourself some time to ease into the morning instead of being thrown into it. And then right before you go to bed, just having a good nightly routine. I like my gratitude journal. I always have a whiteboard next to my bed. I write down the biggest 5 to 10 things I need to get done. Because again, when I wake up in the morning, just like Mark Zuckerberg, right? He wears the same shit because he doesn't want to have to add another decision. It's the same thing. I like being able to wake up, take a picture of my whiteboard, and not having to wake up or not having to think about what I have to do during the day. It's just right there. So I'd say perfecting morning and nightly routine has been a game changer for me.
All right, we're gonna go on with Jay Barron. Go ahead.
So, hi, how are you?
Hi.
Perfect. So I see that you do solar out there. So, starting from the solar and doing now from when you started, what's the difference that you've seen within, growing more, going into the 100K and building more?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, So I'm the same person, they say, money makes you different. It doesn't, it magnifies who you are, right? If you're a bad person, you get money, you're going to be a worse person. If you're a great person, you're going to have money, you're going to be a better person. So I think money is a magnifier. I would say the thing that's most different about me today than 6 years ago, I would say is just like my standard, the way that I compose myself. I think my level of expectation for myself, because until you make a certain amount of money or you see a certain check, you always kind of have like this doubt about yourself. It's like, am I on the right path? Right? Is this something that I actually do? Were my parents right? Or my friends right? Should I have stayed in school? Should I do this? And you always kind of like carry this doubt because you haven't really created that certainty within yourself. So I guess if I can answer it in one question is I'm certain. I'm certain of who I am. I'm certain of what I'm about. I'm certain of the choices that I made. And the crazy thing is you don't need to make income in order to create that certainty. You can cultivate that before you make that income. And I would argue that in order to get to the income you want, you need to create that certainty in yourself. Because if not, then every time you go out there and take action, or every time you're out there and a big decision comes, you're going to doubt yourself and you're going to doubt your ability because you haven't created enough trust within yourself that you have the ability to make good decisions and follow through with what you say. So I would say cultivating that certainty and just following through with the things that you tell yourself you're going to do. If you say, hey, I'm going to make 20 calls today, you do 20 calls, even if you don't get a result, because what you're doing is you're building self-trust, which is building a reputation with yourself that is saying, hey, Steven follows through, right? He does what he says he's going to do. And as push comes to shove, that reputation, I think, will pay dividends long term.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks so much. First of
What's
all,
up,
you've
Sergio?
been dropping gems. Thank you. I've been writing down notes as well. Personally, I created my own agency thanks to Mike Barron back in April. It launched in June, and I started making some little revenue, you know. But you mentioned you took 3 years before you started seeing some actual real profit. I was wondering, what was that pivotal moment? What was that pivotal action, or what was the drastic pivot? Of course, there was development, but like when you got to that 3rd year, what was it that switched up?
It's a great question. So I think about that a lot, actually. So I did network marketing for 3 years. Great industry. I have a ton of friends that make a ton of money. But for me, that just wasn't my niche. I was cultivating the person that I needed to. I was developing my sales skills, recruiting skills, team building skills, my public speaking skills, right? Like the Steven that you see today was birthed from that 3-year experience. But for whatever reason, that just wasn't the industry. It wasn't the vehicle for me. So when I shifted over from my network marketing company to direct sales, to door-to-door, the industry I'm in right now, literally within a year, I went from making, $2,000 a month to, like $12,000 a month. But the thing is, I didn't change much. I was able to exceed most of my peers because of the work that I previously put in the last 3 years in network marketing. Because I was building my belief, I was building my identity, I was reading the books, I was doing everything that I was supposed to, but for whatever reason, I was just in the wrong industry or the wrong sport at that specific time. So me coming into solar, again, right, I came into network marketing at a level, a 30-degree identity, I got it to a 70-degree. So when I got to solar, that 70-degree identity started to actually give me some results. And then I was just able to, use that momentum to take it to 140, so that's a big one. But also, bro, this is kind of coming to me as well. It's don't be so attached to how you get to your goals and dreams, right? There's a good quote. They say, be stubborn in your commitment, but flexible in your approach, right? Be stubborn with your goals, your vision, what you want to accomplish, travel the world, retire your parents, live life on your own terms. Be stubborn with that commitment, but be flexible on how you get there. Because if I got in my own way and I said, no, this is how I'm going to get success, this is how I envision, I would have closed myself off to the opportunities that I needed to in order to get there. So I would wrap up and say, ultimately, we can accomplish everything we want in our life, but a lot of times it doesn't look how we expect. So I think by being open and being flexible and fluid, you may see something that you may not think is going to get to you where you want, but as long as you're taking the daily actions, doing what you need to on a consistent basis, the universe, God, whatever you guys believe in, will take care of you and it'll come.
Guys, what up? It's your boy Mike Barron. Thank you for checking out the YouTube channel. Truly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you forget, I'm going to come to this computer right now and I'm going to close you my damn self. Let's go. I'll see you at the top, y'all.